Hi, Chris here. I'm basically just going to show you a simple manipulation technique that I've done in Photoshop for this particular portrait. As you can see, I already have the image open in Photoshop, as well as the texture that I'm going to be using. I basically drag it over onto the image, resize it, and play around with a bit. I'm basically going to make it look like a sort of a mask, so I'm just trying to line it up here. So I have a line going across the face as well as the body. Just basically by using the transform tool, which is Control T on the keyboard, or if you're an evil Apple user, Command T. Had to get that one in, sorry. And I'm basically just playing around until I get this in a position that to me looks good, really. Now I'm just playing around with actual layer settings. I will have it on multiply, but here's just going through a few different versions. Get some pretty cool and different effects. Nothing I would use personally, but some people like crazy effects on the images. What I've basically done here is added a layer mask and using the paint tool with the colour on black, and I'm kind of just erasing what I don't want in the image. It's still there. If I change the paintbrush to white, I can easily bring the stuff I'm erasing back into the image, which is the brilliant thing about masks. As you can see there, just brought some back. So what I'm doing is getting rid of the parts that I don't really want on the image. Just using the paint tool. I don't really want it on the background or most of the face. So you have to look at my funny face for this entire video, but tough. Just zooming in, starting to go into the smaller, tighter details. It's actually amazing what you can do in Photoshop. I know this isn't as high standard to what I would normally produce, being only a 15-minute quick tutorial, I suppose, but it does give out, well, it does get across the idea that I want to portray, really. I feel rather strange talking to myself in my bedroom while doing this. But yeah. There's obviously variations on what you can do to get rid of the bits that you want, but being an illustrator, I do tend to use the paint tool maybe far too much when it comes to my photography and manipulation work, but it's just my style that I've just come to do, really. In the moment it is quite rough, and I will smooth these bits out, but just basically showing you an idea of where I want the actual cracked bits of skin to be. Kind of gross, really. Kind of an overly done kind of image as well, but you've got to try these things. Find out what works, what doesn't. I suppose that's how you learn. Lots of trial and error and messing about and days upon days just doing one little thing in Photoshop. As you can see, the kind of idea, concept that I want to get across. Still looking quite strange, but it will look cool in the end, I promise, honestly. See, I'm just burning in little bits on the mud mask, that we'll call it. Just because there is shadows and it is quite flat at the moment. So to make it fit actually to the face, I'm going to burn it a little bit to fit in with the shadows actually on the bottom layer. Looks quite creepy actually. You can tell I haven't been moisturising. Yay, now having happy eyeball. I use a tablet to edit this, Wacom One, because they're the best. Everyone must get one. They do lots of different kinds. That was my phone. How very unprofessional of me. But here I'm using pressure sensitive pen. The light strokes mean it only takes away like little bits. The harder you press, it takes away more. Decided to get rid of that giant crack going down the middle of the face and try and blend it more into the skin. Although the lines are quite harsh, they won't be by the time I'm finished. I'm quite not slow with me editing. I just like to try different things out and take my time really. So I find when I rush about things I usually forget what I've done, and then I spend days backtracking and just never really getting it right. Thing you've got to remember as well when you're doing this, it's got to follow like the shape of your face. You've got to remember like there's loads of depth to a face, and you've just got to remember where you are and how to actually fit things into it to make it look realistic. Playing around with the eye there. Wouldn't be able to open it if it was that bad, but yeah, you've just got to think, yeah, it isn't real what I'm doing, but it's got to seem realistic to make the viewer believe it. So just deleted a bit of the mud from the hair, because obviously the hair would be in front of the skin. Have to get rid of all the lines that are in front of the hair, even though you could see the hair. It all makes sense, honestly. I'm just a babbling idiot. I'm starting to try and make it blend into the skin a bit more, just by using the paint tool and the layer masks. You could use the erase tool, but once it's gone, it's really gone really, so always use the layer masks. They are your best friend. I've got a few more of these videos coming up. One where I've completely removed my face. Quite gross, but really, really cool. Got a big obsession with skulls at the moment, so that one will be a really good one to look out for. the editing here, it's a lot easier to do on the larger bits than it is the smaller bit, because you can make a blend in, well, a lot easier and quite effectively. But this is me just doing it quickly, just so you have an idea of how I do my crazy editing. Shortcuts are really handy. I don't even realise I'm doing them half the time. There's loads, but once you start learning them one by one, you don't even think about it when you're editing anymore. You're not just going, oh, where's that in the menu, where's this? You just kind of automatically do it. Like the brush tool is B, eraser is E. It comes in really handy and really speeds up your workflow. And I keep hitting the pen tool when I'm trying to enlarge my paintbrush. It's really frustrating. Shouted at my monitor many a times because of this. Just kind of seeing what it looks like all together. Can be tidied up in various parts. The shoulder seems to be looking the best at the moment, whereas the face doesn't look as realistic. Still plenty of bits to tidy up, but it's getting there. Bring a bit of detail back into it, just because it's just not looking right. It's all trial and error. Getting into those little bits of details is quite difficult. But it will look cool in the end, so it's worth it. Trying to fix up the forehead, and yes, what a large forehead that is. Like I said before, it's just trying to make it look something unreal look quite real. Well, believable really. Just moving it about. Might make an actual... Well, I've got another idea from this now, seeing how that looks there. So that'll be something else. I'm not going to see what it is, but it's something else to look out for. I'm going to desaturate it a little bit because it was a bit too warm in colours compared to the blues that I've got on the base in it. Well, the blue slightly desaturated look. Which seems to be my favourite for portraits. I'm going to tidy it up a bit more before you see it, but this is the gist of it, and I'm sorry to make you watch this.